Hello, everyone. We're about to start. We have a nice number of people joining, and hopefully, it's going to be a lot more. Uh, just making sure everyone can hear me. Yes, yes, yes. We got a chat. You guys, you can leave any questions, um, anything, and you can add reactions, questions. We'll answer them at the end of the webinar. But yeah, very excited. Okay, I mean, we can get started. Um, It's going to be about 45 minutes. We'll probably go over, to be honest. If there's like some interactions, Q&As, any other questions, uh, we can go. It's not a hard stop on 45 minutes, so it'll be a little bit more flexible for an hour, let's say. And yeah, let's get started. Of course, at the end, you'll get a recording of the replay, so this way you can, look back and watch the video again, because we're gonna have a lot of nice content that we're gonna be sharing throughout the webinar. Um, so welcome everyone. My name is Jude. Welcome to Mastering User Guiding's new knowledge base feature for efficient solutions. So this is mainly for any kind of customer support, customer relations, operations, and we're going to be talking about the basics, let's say, of the knowledge base. Right, here we go. Oh, 1 second. Yes, we're going to be talking about the basics of knowledge base, why companies invest in a knowledge base, show you some examples, best practices, and some statistics here and there. And we'll go through some examples. And finally, we'll show you actually how to build a knowledge base with user guiding. Let me just quickly introduce myself. My name is Jude. I'm a growth marketing specialist here at UserGuiding. I've been with UserGuiding for about 3 years now. So I know all the product, all the ins and outs of adoption, product adoption, onboarding, support, self-serve onboarding, all of this. We also have a guest today as well, so we'll introduce them and look at the way that they've been using the knowledge base. So it's going to be very exciting. So yeah, stay tuned, and if there's anything in the chat, anything that comes to mind, you can write it in the chat, and we're going to be having polls throughout the webinar as well. So let's get started. Um, Basically, at the end of the webinar, what we would like for you to learn is, like the value of including a knowledge base to your organized self-serve support structure, and the impact that it could have on your user experience, but also on your team internally. It's actually a two bird, one stone type of thing, and multiple birds, to be honest, because there's a lot of benefits and lots of advantages of including a knowledge base, and an effective knowledge base, actually, to your structure. So we can begin by, just understanding, what is a knowledge base. Essentially, it's, as it sounds, it's a base of information. It's a hub. It's a centralized source platform, where you can organize and store all your product questions, information for your users to easily access. Essentially, any support resources such as articles, features, and functionality related information, some frequently asked questions, and anything that your users might have questions about. This should be their go-to link, or place to find such information. It's also a user empowerment tool, so it enables your users to access this type of information about your platform, and they're able to resolve their issues independently without needing any direct assistance from support teams, or anyone else, right? So it's self-served. And it's a content management system as well. So a knowledge base, it allows businesses to efficiently create, manage, and update any support content in a structured and accessible way, right? It provides more of credibility of where they're able to find the resources, information about said product. It could be very simple. It doesn't matter if your product is very complex, or it's very, let's say, very easy to navigate. There should always be a knowledge base, because at the end of the day, it also saves time, right? So all users, at some point, they're new users. You can't assume that they automatically know your platform, right? So you need to provide them with a with resources where they're able to get the answers that they're looking for, no matter how simple of questions or functionalities it might be. So by allowing your users to quickly find these answers on their own, it reduces the time that your support team spend on these like repetitive inquiries, and also frees up their time for more like complex issues. We'll go through some. Actually, before this, uh, I do have a question. So I'm gonna start a poll, and I would love to get some interaction going. All right. So what I would like to understand is, what's your current go-to, support method for customer support? All right. Here, I open the poll, and this way we can have a nice display here. So we have email support, which is very standard. We have a live chat, which is a little bit more faster. Some phone support, or if you already have a knowledge base or a self-serve, you can do that as well. You can, and if there's any other types of support that you provide, you can also add it in the chat. It would be very interesting to see, what other types of methods are being used these days. Lovely, lovely. Let's give it a couple more seconds here. We got some interesting numbers. I would say it's a tie between email support and the live chat. Very standard SaaS, B2B type of support, I would say. But I'm very intrigued that not many also use analogy, or you might use actually, but it's probably not your primary method of support. Very interesting. All right, I think we're good here. We can stop the poll. Very cool. All right. We'll jump directly into the benefits of having a knowledge base. So actually, why is it even a thing, right? And as I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of advantages for it, and not just from a user's perspective, but also from a company and internal operations perspective as well. We can begin with the user perspective. I mean, obviously, it enhances their user experience because they're resolving their issues. They're able to learn about the platform. They get immediate access to information. All right, so users can quickly find the answers to their questions without waiting for any type of support or going back and forth here and there, as like email and live chat. I know there's a lot of like back and forth going here. So with a knowledge base, it provides a more like seamless experience because that's it. It's like a couple of seconds searching what they're looking for, and then they're able to find the relevant article. And actually, we'll talk about this a little bit later as well in more details, but in the way that you build your knowledge base, it also reflects your platform as well, or it reflects your product. So they can also find answers to like how easy is it to use, what can they accomplish with it, what is the value they can get out of it. So this way they get more understanding of what the product actually is. There's more consistency in the support. So a well organized knowledge base, it ensures that all the users receive the same kind of accurate and up-to-date information. It provides more like credibility, more reliability, and this reduces like the confusion and the frustration that users might be going through if they're having some difficulty navigating your platform. Thus, of course, like, yeah, reducing the friction. So it minimizes this like back and forth communication between support, and streamlines their journey for a more like efficient and enjoyable experience. Yeah. Now, from a and we also have some stats. Right. So there was a survey that said they found that like 75% of the respondents, they say that like self-serve is more convenient way of providing a customer service support, or tackling customer service issues, which, yeah, makes sense. I mean, it should be a place where all the information, all the questions that people can have, it's easy to rely on. Now, some benefits about, from the company's perspective, as a company, why should this company even invest in a knowledge base just internally as well? So one, obviously, it increases the efficiency. So a centralized knowledge base, it reduces the time for that, it takes from support teams when they're following up with the, relevant repetitive inquiries. It allows them to focus on more complex tasks, which improves the overall productivity of the team. Um, and of course reduces cost, right? So obviously if your users are able to find the answers that they're looking for automatically once you've provided some information in the article, then you're going to have obviously a decrease in the number of or the volume of support tickets, and thus of course reducing the need for a larger support team and lowering operational costs. And by providing this space of information, there's like consistent information sharing. So even internally, throughout a team, doesn't matter if you have just like 10 people or it's a team of 100, 500, as the product updates, right, there's going to be some lost information here and there. So having a place, centralized place where all the team members are able to access this information creates more effective communication throughout all the departments, just to ensure that everything is up to date. Any new features, any new functionalities that are added, they don't need to go and ask whoever it is on the team. They can just also go and look at the information themselves on the knowledge base. um, and even for like onboarding, or if you have new employees, the first steps of providing them with the information about the product itself is sharing the knowledge base. So for new employees, they can quickly access any of the information on the knowledge base, and it makes their onboarding much easier, much more efficient, and helps them become productive faster. Even personally, to be honest, I remember when I began with user guiding, on the second day, the person that was onboarding me on user guiding, I had no knowledge about anything SaaS, anything related to like onboarding or product adoption, but they just sent me the link to the knowledge base, and I was just like reading the articles, um, and this got me to understand at least the basics of what user guiding provides, and then if I had any like complex questions, then I can ask the relevant person. Uh, yes. Another stat is yeah, I mean, cost reduction. I think it's an obvious one. There's a recent research. This was done last year from Salesforce, I believe, where um, they found that self like service operations, they can cut support costs by 75%, and of course dramatically decreases the wait times. So users are able to go and find the information right away. Uh, There's actually another poll. I'll activate another poll here. All right, let's get some interactions going. So, if you have if you're in support, or if you're in a business, uh, what is the biggest challenge right now in your support operations? Would it be you're struggling from like high ticket volume, or maybe you have some inconsistent information all over the place? Maybe some blogs say some information, and some other places it's different. Maybe there's a lack of engagement with the tool itself, or difficulties with content management, right? Because some information can get all over the place. It'll be more difficult to manage. I mean, managing content, it's a fair one. Yeah. Lack of user engagement. This could also be one of them, because if it's a little complex of a platform, um, users might need little help navigating. Awesome. Yeah. So I would say, yeah, lack of user engagement. There could be lots of factors from this, but also content management is a very big one as well, especially if you're already kind of creating some information, maybe some if you have like videos and these things. Perfect. Thanks, guys. Much appreciated. And feel free to drop some insights in the chat as well. Let's stop the poll here. Lovely. So we talked about the importance of having a knowledge base. Why you would need to add a knowledge base, but actually if you just add a knowledge base, that's not enough, right? You need to have an effective knowledge base. And there's a lot of other components to it, more than just four, but I kind of boiled it down to four. Um, so mainly, of course, you need to have comprehensive information. I need to highlight this. A knowledge base article is not a blog, right? So the information that you add there, it needs to be very high value. You don't want to add a lot of content. You just want to make sure that, for an effective knowledge base, you need to have just relevant content, including, frequently asked questions, troubleshooting guides, how-to articles, some best practices, anything that can like ensure that the users are finding the answers from a wide range of questions when it comes to the functionalities they're able to do. It needs to be straight to the point, and don't add any unnecessary information that isn't functional to the reader, right? Just make it very quick, very simple. You need to make it accessible, right? So one, ease of navigation. If you have lots of articles, lots of materials, it needs to be kind of categorized in a common sense type of way. There's a common way. There's a information infrastructure that you're able to add. So you can have categories, you can have subcategories, images, videos, just to make it much easier for them to access and implement. Have a clear structure, of course, and regularly update it, right? It's going to be something that your users are going to rely on, not just your users, of course, even internally, your team members. It's going to be the place where they will go to in case they need to understand some functionalities. So to remain effective, it needs to be updated regularly with the latest product changes, even if it's like, a very tiny kind of functionality that you've added. And finally, you need to understand if it's working or not. So having some analytics and mechanisms for feedback is also essential. You need to understand how your articles are performing. Are they, are the users are finding the answer that they're looking for? Are they not? You can track user behavior as well if that's what you're able to do with your social provider. But of course, UserGuiding is able to do that as well. Um, and later on, you'll also be identify. You can identify some gaps from the content and optimize the user experience. We'll talk about the best practices soon. For now, I'd like to introduce our guest. Let me just share my screen first and show you an example of one of the knowledge bases that they've created. Let's go here. 1 second. Right. Lovely. So, Brian Study, they've created this knowledge base, and it looks very nice. It's in Deutsch, right, in German. It's very clean. They've added their logo here. They've even added like a favicon, where on the tab you can see the branding. Added the colors, and here this is what the categorization looks like. So you have some categories. If of course, I don't speak German. Let's go to English here. You got a teacher environment, learning environment. They've added some emojis, and yeah, and in the description they're able to categorize it. So it's clear that this is for teachers, and right, if you're a teacher, then you click on it, then you can find the relevant information, and they've even added some screenshots and highlighted the elements that they want the visitor of this article to focus on. And throughout the article, they've bolded some key terminologies, keywords, and on the left you have a nice navigation bar here as well. So as you can see, it's very nicely laid out, very well organized, uh, and yeah, it looks very nice. So awesome job, uh, Ralph. Are you here? Just checking. Lovely, awesome. Ralph, thanks for joining. Thanks a
You're
lot.
very welcome. I think you have to turn on my camera because I think I
Oh,
can't anymore.
let's check here. Are you sure? You can.
Well, nothing happens when I
Yeah.
click on it.
Oh man.
Let me just check. I'll just open a new incognito window and just
Yeah,
rejoin
yeah, that could probably work.
on. Um,
No worries. In the meantime, you guys saw the overview of. Ah, there we go. Awesome. Let's add you here.
Fantastic.
Lovely.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Ralph. How's it going?
Good.
Thanks
How are
so
you?
much. I'm doing great. Thanks for joining. So Ralph, yeah, I mean, you've been with User Guiding for a little bit actually, and you've already built this amazing comprehensive knowledge base. And Ralph here is the founder of Brian Study, and yeah, I would like to understand. Can you give us a little brief about your company, what you do, um, and yeah, you
Sure.
take the mic. Yeah.
Sure. So I'm Ralph. I'm one of the co-founders. We are an AI teaching assistant. So we basically help teachers create their own adaptive learning environments for their students. It's a little bit like Duolingo. The only difference is that they are the creators, the teachers, and they are creating the content. Okay. And then basically they have this adaptive learning environment for their students. And our product is a little bit difficult, I would say, by nature. Not like,
Mm,
I don't think it's designed in a weird way, but our main challenge is really to onboard teachers in an easy and fast and effective way. I mean, there's of course friction for the user if they don't get it right from the
mm,
beginning, but of course also on our end, because I mean, we're B2B and we do schoolings, a lot of schoolings for schools and their teachers, but we need to find a way how they can like get onboarded themselves and really to kind of hit those, yeah, high scalable
yeah.
numbers that we're looking for, because
Mm,
manually onboarding just doesn't do the job for us.
yeah, I mean, it definitely makes sense. And how has the onboarding been? So, what was the shift that what have you implemented, for example?
Yeah, I mean, initially, I mean, we thought the most user-friendly interface will do the job, and we still believe this is like the majority of it. But yeah, we realized there are some people out there, like technical non-defined
Mm,
people who don't use text so much, right? And that's why we thought, hey, we get started with user guiding, because you have those wonderful overlays, right? I know today it's all about knowledge base, but
yeah,
the main reason why we kicked off with user guiding is those overlays. And then we realized right after purchasing and building those overlays that you were launching the user guiding, right?
yeah,
Not the user
the
guiding, the
knowledge
knowledge
base.
base, right? And yeah, and then we actually we focus much more on the knowledge base, because now our overlay is actually referring back to the knowledge base.
Yeah,
So coming back to your initial question, so far they were either left on their own on the platform, and that never worked. So I would say 1 out of 50 did not find their way on our website. Not on the website, yes, but having like the real, the juicy, the cool stuff on our platform.
they weren't able to access, or they didn't know it was there. They didn't know how to navigate it. So,
They
uh,
did partially, but just not the full extent. So we
yeah,
had to do schoolings. So we did workshops, like schooling events, just like we do right now a little bit. And then they were incredibly happy. But our goal was to get there without doing the schoolings, right? Without educating them. And that's why we kicked off now with yeah, a lot of knowledge base, right, in all three languages, but also the overlays. Yeah,
yeah, that's it works. It's all like self-serve, right? So if those overlays, if the guys they didn't work, then at least they know that there's probably another place, which would be the knowledge base, where they can refer to find the answers that they're looking for. Correct?
exactly. Yeah,
Amazing.
exactly.
Amazing. How was your experience with building the knowledge base?
Quite simple, I have to admit. Really, really simple. One main reason why we went to user guiding in general is, I mean, our tech people there have enough stuff to develop in the core of the product, adding features and making more robust with more, yeah, with higher loads of users. So we didn't want to spend time on actually developing similar stuff on our own. So we thought, hey, we get our solution onboarded where I or the non-tech team could simply build it with just a few clicks. And yeah, that worked actually.
Yeah, and it looks very nice as
I mean,
well.
it took us maybe, I mean, like just, I mean, writing, it's like a lot back and forth and fine tuning, but basically building this is just a day or two.
For that's amazing because I know that you guys have also. I mean, the way that you've organized it. There's a lot of articles, lots of like images, um,
And I mean,
and
what we also do, I think very important, every time we get like requests via email, we will only refer back to this now. So everything which we cannot answer in here is not good. So we'll add something in here. And
Yeah,
this is also, as you said nicely earlier, this talk today, that this is also our common source of truth when it comes to usability or usage or features in our application.
exactly. And I'm sure that you've seen it as well, that you can also get like the analytics for it as well. So
Yeah,
just to be able to understand, which articles that they're referring to the
yeah.
most, and it totally makes sense. Awesome. Ralph, thank you so much. This was a pleasure. Thank you so much
You're very
for
welcome.
joining the webinar. And
Thanks to all the best.
all the best. All the best. Thank you. Perfect. So, yeah, let's go back here. Uh, there's a lot of different best practices that I will mention right now, but for now, this is the gist of what one of our users, how they've been using the knowledge base here. Um, but there are some best practices that you might not have thought about actually, and this would be very it's a lot of good information. So let's just 1 second. Some of the best practices, uh, right? One thing that you wouldn't think of is actually the terminology that is used in the articles. So, for example, when creating the articles, right? You already have information, you already have the knowledge of your own product, correct? So you'll be using the terminology that you've been using with your product, and even in that ecosystem. But actually, your users probably aren't aware of the terminology that you're using, right? I'll give you a very simple example. So what we as user guiding, we call them guides, right? A guide could be actually from Webster Dictionary, could it has a very different meaning. It's not going to show you an image of user guiding, right? Other platforms, other products, they call them like interactive walkthroughs or product walkthroughs. So the new user, when they're coming and they're searching for that interactive walkthrough, they're not going to know that we call it a guide. So including these keywords that your users might be using, the terminology that they might be using, uh, one, it helps your users access this information that you already have on the our knowledge base much easier. But also you can also introduce them to the new terminology. So for example, what is a guide on user guiding? It could be something you can say like it's an interactive walkthrough, and this way you're teaching them about that set terminology. So anything that is user guiding related, they understand whenever it has a guide show there, they're going to understand that this is an interactive. You can have tooltips, you can have so on and so forth. The second tip that we can give you is this information architecture that I mentioned earlier, where when you're creating a guide or an art not a guide an article, right? It must have a continuous flow. So we provide you with categories, right? So you have categories, you have subcategories, but within those categories, the articles need to be in like a higher format. So, for example, the first article could be what is a guide. The second one, by common sense, is probably going to be how to create a guide, right? So there's a type of infrastructure that goes through that streamlines the user's experience and their journey. They're able to find probably the next steps by common sense, let's say. um, and when you're creating an article, just think, what might be the next question that the user might have. And this way, you're creating a very amazing flow, very great user experience for them to navigate. And as I showed you on the left side, you can have that like left navigation bar where, it's in an order of what might be, what flow or what they might be referring to after. Another thing that you can do is also categorize them, have categories based off of different levels of users. So you have one category for starters, getting started. This is a very standard one. The way that we have it is day one with user guiding. So it just gives you an overview of what user guiding does. And then after that, you get more details. Uh, Let me show you an example actually. We can go through the user guiding knowledge base here. Right, so this is our help center. So the way that we have it, as you can see here, you have these like lots of great categories. You have some little emojis, some descriptions. So in the get started, what can I achieve with user guiding? Day one with user guiding. And within here, you can have some videos as well, just to better understand. Right, the more support content you have, just make sure it's all centralized in a nice visual way. But if I go back, right, scroll down here, we can also have some like more complex functionalities as well. So, for example, let's go to like security and compliance. This is one of them. This is going to be a little bit more um, expert or advanced levels. So at the top, you have the very basic information, and then the more you know, the more they scroll down, it's going to be a little bit more complex. And you have some featured articles here, frequently asked questions. Mm-mm-mm. Right. Yeah, and as I mentioned, yeah, like categorizing it. So when you're categorizing it, especially for the new users, you start putting them on a path. So that day one with user guiding, what is user guiding, and then day one with user guiding, and then it goes to, what is a guide, how to build a guide. You're putting them on a path to become a very self-sufficient user, a power user. They're going to implement. If you have comprehensive information on your articles, then they them taking those steps and implementing it is going to be easy for them as well. So you're going to have a power user. You're going to keep that retention. Hopefully, you're also going to be able to convert them as well. And finally, collecting the feedback and the analytics. So of course, adding the articles. It's gathering all the information, since it's going to be your central place of all, honestly, product related information. It's going to take a little bit of time. So this effort that you're putting in, you want to collect the feedback, you want to make sure that it's working. And in order to optimize, their experience and optimize the information that you're providing them. So collecting feedback from the articles and learning where people are struggling with the most. So this way you can add this maybe to the frequently asked questions, or the featured articles for the ones that they're clicking on the most. Second, you're able to see the page numbers, the page counts of the interactions, article count, what's working, what's not, and your just overview knowledge base count, actually. So accessibility. So are you putting the URL of the knowledge base in a place where it's accessible for them? Is it at the bottom of the page in the corner? Is it even added to the main homepage? So with user guiding, for example, you're able to integrate it with a resource center. So it makes it much easier to access the knowledge base. And you can also add the URL as a hyperlink to, any kind of, learn more about, so on and so forth. You can add this as a hyperlink, taking them directly to the knowledge base, um, so they're able to, figure out the information that they're looking for themselves. And finally, and this is very key, you're also able to find what the users are searching. So the search terms, right? This is great for understanding the terminology that the user is using. So for the example that I provided, maybe our users, they're logging into the knowledge base and they're searching for interactive product walkthroughs. And from the analytical side, we're able to see what the users are searching for, what the terms that they're using. Um, so for these terms, one, of course, you can kind of adjust your articles in a way that is easier for them to find. But also, two, you can also use this terminology to update blogs. It'll be great for SEO. Update your landing page copies with this information. So it's not just, you know, any information is good information. So you'll be able to take this kind of insights into fruition as well. So far, so good. Everyone's good. Let's just quickly check the questions here. Lovely. We have a pretty long question. All right. So, hey Jude, if I handle 20, 30 cases per day, would it be necessary to have a knowledge base? In your opinion, what would be the minimum number of tickets for a knowledge base to be considered as useful? I mean, it depends. I mean, do we get an answer for this? Actually, let me check. All right, not. Honestly, it depends. Like if I mean 20 to 30 cases per day, is it like frequently asked questions? If I would say if you're getting at least like four or five of the same questions, then yeah, I mean it'll be much easier to just create an article and just send them this article. This is where you can find the information. It really depends, but it depends on like the size of your team, the product itself. Could it be enhanced? But at the end of the day, to be honest, it's just creating the article. That takes time, and then I'm sure in the different ways that you can make it accessible. You can look at you won't be able to, let's say you won't spend a lot of time after just going through these same questions. um, Perfect. And when it comes to the best practices, I think yeah, we're done here. And oh, we got some other questions. Jim, if it's okay, we can keep these at the end of the webinar here. All right. One second. Some technical difficulties. I'm just trying to exit this question here. Okay, perfect. Lovely. Uh, we got some other examples of knowledge base users from user guiding. So we'll just quickly run through them. All right, so we talked about Brian. They had their logo here. The color is very nice. This is another one, Bardo. Bardo's is a very interesting because they have lots of information here, lots of categories. They decided to go super white label. I'm not sure what language this is, to be honest, but they've created so many articles. They've created more than 300 articles, right? Uh, so, I mean, that it speaks for itself as a new tool where you're able to create. Well, there's probably some testing ones here and there, but yeah, 300 articles that you're able to create. Dr. Julian as well. So you can also add different links on the side to redirect them, for example, to the platform. And you have Docnote as well. And they've added a little information about their platform as well. Perfect. All right, now let's get to the bread and butter of it, how to create a knowledge base. So what we have here, this is the user guiding panel. So when you go to user guiding, this is you log in here, and at the bottom you have the knowledge base. And let's say this is a blank slate, right? For the sake of this webinar, I chose Spotify actually as an example. So what we're going to do is we're going to brand the knowledge base. We're going to create some categories, subcategories, articles, just so you'll be able to see how easy it is. And I'll show you I think my method of categorizing, or let's say starting to put together the information. I'm sure everyone's familiar with Spotify, so I just want to use an example that is very simple, very easy, that everyone can understand. Lovely. So what I have here is, let me. I've used Notion just to kind of break down some segments. Now Spotify is a little bit different because it's a B2C platform. It's a very self-served, so they didn't invest that much in a knowledge base. Um, but still, it's a very relevant example. So they have lots of different. They have some categories that I broke down. So you have like managing accounts, payments and subscriptions, in-app features. You can create categories based off of. You can begin with, it's a lot of like trial and error testing. So you can create categories as just one introduction, just begin with three maybe, and then later on, if you have any new features or if you have any new ideas of or better ways of creating categories, and you can shift them around, change it. It's not, it's never fixed. You always want to optimize it. And for this example, so these are the categories that we can go with. This is their logo that we'll add to the favicon, and this is their logo that you're familiar with. And within payments and subscription, here is the subcategories. So within here, you have like managing subscriptions, payment methods, recommended topics, charge help. And this is also like information from their in-app features as well. So these would be the subcategories. You can use Notion, of course, or even like um, like Google Docs here, just breaking them down. Very simple, just having the ideas of what they're able to do, and right. And you can have different pages, so you can have just write the information here. As I said, you want to keep it as simple and straight to the point as possible. If you can add images, it'll be very helpful. You can add GIFs, I believe, if you'd like. Videos, if you already have some videos, just throw them in there just so the users can access them and have a better understanding. Um, so on the knowledge base page here on user guiding, you can get the reportings, you can get the reactions. This is page reporting overall and article reports. You have the categories, right? We'll create a new one here. There's no articles within them. You can create the articles from the articles section. There's only one that we'll take a look at, and we'll create a new one as well. Some page settings. So this is more towards the customization, the style. You can add different languages. You can have multi-languages, right? So the same with Brian's example, right? And over here you can have like a little overview of how it could look like. You have full customization of the colors, the boxes, the header. We'll upload the favicon here. Um, yeah, and some text information as well. You can add different URLs. So as you see here, you can redirect them, you know, open the app, register, subscribe to a newsletter, anything that you have. And SEO functionality as well. So to get started, let's begin with customizing the page itself. So if I open the knowledge base here, let's just do a little refresh. There we go. All right, it's completely blank, right? There isn't even an icon here. There's these call to actions, let's call them. Um, but you can, of course, like add any URL that you want. Let's customize it a little bit. So I already added the green, right? And we can add the favicon here. So the same icon, the little Spotify icon there. And in the header, we can add the logo. On the background color, you can just get the color from any extension. You can just do this, copy, paste. It looks a little too bright for my taste, so we can just add a little contrast. Lovely. Let's just save it. And let's scroll back to the categories. So over here we have the managing accounts, payments, in-app features, and device troubleshooting. Right, if I go back to the layout that we have here, right, we're missing data and security. So we can add that. So let's just add a new category, data and security. You can add a description if you'd like. Learn more about our security policy. Perfect. And you can add the icon. See if there's one. Yeah, we can go global. Why not? And we can create a new article. So the testing article that I did, I added a video, so you can embed videos here and just add information like this, right? This would be the article name, and we can publish it. You can view the article, right? So it'll look something like this, right? And we have the little logo here as well. All right, but let's add it to a category. So this one would be probably in the in-app features. So we can add, so let's add a subcategory first. Spotify 101. Do it this way. and then we can add the article. Perfect. All right. And right, the status is green. All good. Let's view it in the knowledge base again. Perfect. Right, so we have the category here on the side. This is the subcategory. Oh, sorry, this is the subcategory. And if I go to the page, perfect, lovely. You can add different type of links over here, and they can review the video. Now, this is an example that was already there, but you can always create a new article. So for this example, we already did the what is Spotify. We can do get started. So you can just add the information. Let's add them here. Copy paste. That's it, really. Um, you can have the option of getting feedback from the users, of course, much recommended. But that's basically it. Getting started. More about Spotify. I feel like I'm advertising. They should pay me for this. It's a free advertisement for Spotify. Right, and in the same way, when you create your articles, you can even multi-select the articles that you want to add. Right, and we want to add this. Let's add another article. There we go. And here's the second article. You can order them, of course. You have the link to it. Add it wherever you want. So this way your users, can access it in a much easier way. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Um, just as like a quick recap, actually, let's do a little summarization of the next steps. Um, a knowledge base. I mean, it's a support 101 basics using a tool. Of course, you can build this type of information yourself. However, as Ralph had mentioned, having an infrastructure that's ready to add an FAQ page, catalogs, um, categories, subcategories, add images in a much easier way. It took him 2 days to build a whole knowledge base. So investing in something like this, you just build it once and make it available and accessible for your users, and this way your users will become very proficient uh, users of your platform. Um, of course, you can go ahead, create your knowledge base, take the first steps of that. Or if you have any other questions, you can meet with one of our onboarding experts for sure. We got a couple of questions. But that's pretty much for it for the presentation, everyone. You'll get a replay, an email with a summary and a replay of this video. Um, let's see the questions here. All right, Jim. This seems very service centered. Do you have options for companies that sell goods? Uh, it's mainly SaaS, of course, but essentially it's the same. It just depends on how you would like to provide this information, even for goods, right? If you're getting a lot of support or lots of questions, then instead of just answering them one by one, you can just send them the link of where they can find the information for that. uh, from the credit app to first order. I'm not sure what you mean by that, Jim. I think I hopefully Levent probably answered your question. But in a way, if you would like to streamline the experience, of course, you can create categories and subcategories in a way that you can easily onboard them or guide them towards, because you're able to add call to actions, hyperlinks to the information inside the articles. So this way, if they walk through it, then you can take them from one place to another.
Actually, Jules, I just wanted to jump in here
Yeah, go ahead.
because this is the Jim that he answered to the first one. I mean, I asked him a question regarding to what type of information he needs under the knowledge base, and this was the onboarding customers from the credit app to first order.
Gotcha. Okay. Thanks.
Yep.
All right, Michael asked, first of all, thanks for taking my recent suggestions seriously. I'm wondering if there's anything you can share on future plans for the knowledge base. Actually, yes. The knowledge base just keeps getting better and better. And not just the knowledge base itself, actually, but as a whole, uh, a full self-serve system, ecosystem, let's say, because you're able to integrate the knowledge base with lots of different user guiding functionalities. So there's a really easy integration with the resource center, and the resource center is added inside the application, and it's a lot of like connected um service or information that you can give the users in a more interactive way. Um, we do have future plans of even integrating an AI assistant, actually. So with that, any kind of chat, any questions that they have, they're able to get the answers from the AI is able to get the answers from the knowledge base or from the guide that you have to display it. But we're very open to any suggestions or any ideas that you have in mind, Michael. Thanks a lot for sharing this. Kelly asks, when integrating the knowledge base into the resource center currently, the search function only works on articles. Any plans to include the frequently asked questions? This is a very very good feature request, actually. We'll need to share this with our team. So if you have, I guess, a frequently asked question, then yeah, I think it should be possible, right? But it's definitely something that we'll note down. Um, a great idea, Kelly. Amazing. Perfect. All right. Thank you, everyone. If there isn't much, right? Yeah, and of course, if you'd like to uh, give your feedback on G2 and get a gift card. It'll be a great win-win right there. Amazing. Yeah,
We have a mock poll, right? By the way.
we do. Yes.
Yeah. Just
Perfect.
one.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
Amazing.
You
So
can
if you,
take it.
yeah, no worries. Thanks. If you'd like us to get in touch with you regarding the knowledge base integration or anything related to support, knowledge base, and resource center, self-serve, user experience, all of this. Oh, let's start the poll. Let us know. We'll love to kind of get in touch with you. Of course, it'll be more a personalized outreach. So this way, we'll have a one-on-one call. We'll show you more details about the knowledge base functionalities and how the knowledge base actually works with the whole user guiding ecosystem. All right, it's an amazing integration and addition to your platform. And actually, just a quick information, just from our insights. We started using a knowledge base around 4 years ago, right? And we've significantly seen a decrease in support ticketing, especially those common inquiries. I would say more than 70%. So a lot of it is being self-serve, and our support team is able to invest more in knowledge base and optimizing the information in the knowledge base. Uh, Thus, also lots of users are also clicking on the knowledge base and referring to it as a first step to getting the answers that they want. And then let's say later on they don't find the answers, then that's when they'll be in touch with one of our live support representatives. Perfect. All right, thank you everyone for joining. It's been a pleasure. Stay tuned for more webinars on the way, and if there's any other questions, any other features that you would like for us to talk more about, we would love to have more events like these. Perfect. Thanks, everyone.